creative friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are working on a Project Life spread using the June Elle Studio release. This is a super fun release. There are tons of summer icons and summer sentiments. As you can see here, I have printed out my photos, put them in kind of roughly where I think I'm going to want them. And now I'm going through the journal cards, trying to pick cards that match the color palette of my photos. I love this 4x6 card up at the top with the bright, bold summer words repeated. The yellow goes so well with my pictures, and now I'm just looking for some 3x4 cards that will also coordinate well. I picked several different cards. I think this is what I settle with. I had picked out, there were several that would have worked well, but because my pictures had so much color in them, I wanted to kind of tone down and not have such bright 3x4 cards. So now I am going through my ink swatches, and I left this part in just so you can see how I swatch my inks. I actually have more inks that I need to swatch. I just have my Catherine Pooler ink swatched, but I am finding colors that match the green, yellow, and orange that are in that card. I'm going to take the Summer Sunshine stamp, and I am going to be stamping out several sunshines that I'm going to use for embellishments. Now, I left this in because what I did with the Misty is I ended up making several embellishments. I used some of them, I saved some of them, but when I have all my inks and stamp equipment out, I figured, why not just make several embellishments all at the same time? So you can see here, I did cut a little bit of the video out to make sure it wasn't too long, but you can see at the top I've added a die cut blue heart to pull in some of the blue, and then I added one of the punched out sunshine stamps. Now what you just saw me put down were some punched out letters from the circle die cuts. Now on my previous video and project, I used the circles to make a grid 12x12 layout, but I saved all of the punched out elements and I used it for a title. Now I want to tell you what I'm doing here. Now, this looks really crazy, and I'm not usually this adventurous, but I really wanted a small sunshine stamp. And on the stamp set, all the sunshines were attached to either a like journaling lines or a label. And so I've seen other people do this. I think it may have been the first time I did it. I actually cut out the sunshine in that journaling line stamp. Now I'm just testing out and stamping both parts of the stamp to make sure that they both work well. The key to that is just making sure when you're cutting out a stamp is just to use a fine precision scissors and go very slow. And whatever you cut out should work just fine, separate or put back together. And that is what I did. And so this allowed me to have a small sunshine that I could put on that label to fill in where the words kind of were too short. Now I'm just cutting out some more embellishments. I wanted to put a little bit of, or put a kind of like a subtitle on this picture. We had family in town, and in a little bit I pull out some alpha stamps that end up being too big, so I end up just writing family time on here. I ended up finding later in my stash some very old Elle Studio products that ended up saying family time, but that's okay. Here I ended up just writing it. So I, of course, have to use the puffy hearts. I love the Elle Studio puffy hearts and use them on every layout I do. I love that every month they come out with different colors, so I have a huge arsenal of colors in my stash. But this month with blue and green, which was perfect for all the blue in this spread. So I am just getting around to embellishing all of my areas. These puffy word phrases were adorable. I love word phrases, and this was such a different touch to add to the embellishment clusters. So now here you can see that I am cutting a tag, basically. I stamped one of the circle sentiments onto a piece of white cardstock, and when I put it on my picture, it just was not bold enough. You couldn't see it. So I took one of the cards that had this kind of lime green color, and I used it as a background, and I just cut a line around the tag that I already had so it would be a little bit brighter and stand out more on my page. So back here to these letters that I'm adhering down now, I left this part in the video because I wanted to show you how I make sure I line them up so they fit along a 3x4 card. I adhered down the very first S, and then I adhered down the very last E. Now I'm going back and doing the middle letters, and this tells me how much space I'm going to have for the letters in the middle. And it ends up working out great on this card, and I don't end up having to move them too much. I move the little center ones down just a little bit because the I obviously takes up less space than the U and the N and the sun. But it came out really well. I love how that's kind of, again, a little title on my card, and I got to use the punched out pieces from the circles. So I already talked about this part. I'm looking for a stamped sentiment for that label, and I end up not finding one and just handwriting it. This was a fun embellishment piece. I ended up cutting up one of the 3x4 cards. The sunshine is only a half sunshine, and so I'm tucking it under this word label so it almost looks like it's rising or setting, I guess, sunrise or sunset. And it was just a really fun and different way to embellish this picture. Now, these pictures, I believe, are the last week in my in my June 2015 album. It's just kind of a hodgepodge of things that had happened during that month that didn't have a bigger story. Like I mentioned here, we had family in town. We went out to dinner. My daughter had a sleepover with friends. My son was doing an art project at a community fair. And then we had some swimming lessons at the bottom. So this was just a fun way to document these small stories, get these pictures in an album, but by coordinating all the colors, it ends up looking like a cohesive spread. So that was a fun way to get all these into my album. So now we're just finishing up all of the embellishing. I'm adding more of these puffy word phrases. I think I add 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I think this one says best friend, so it's perfect. So I wanted to try to have 3 word phrases. I have 3 sons, and so I'm trying to do everything in 3s as much as possible. So now I'm just finishing up my journaling. I basically am just writing all the things that I just told you that we were doing. And at the end of finishing up this journaling card, I'm going to use some blue ink that matches the heart blue die cut at the top to just stamp a sentiment at the bottom, because I have some space at the bottom that I end up not filling with journaling. And then I pull out that small sunshine stamp that I had cut out of the other stamp set, and I use that as some decorative embellishing too. I really liked how it comes out, and you'll see it in just a second. So that's about it. I am finishing this up. If you have any questions or comments about how this all comes together, please leave them in the comments below. There's a link below to the Elle Studio shop if you want to grab any of these supplies. I loved the stamps and the circles this month. They were so fun. Yeah, again, thank you for coming to watch this video, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye now.